Hi, my name is Jennifer Norris, and I'm lead hypnotherapist at Grey Matter Network and certified instructor with the National Guild of Hypnotists. I'm here today to spend a few minutes with you to help you understand a bit more about hypnosis and the mind, and maybe answer some questions you have before your session. Most people find hypnosis much easier when they understand more about their own mind. So by listening to this presentation, you're going to make your hypnosis session even better. To start understanding hypnosis, you must first understand the mind. Most of us don't think very much about our minds, but in actual fact, we have three very distinct and different minds, with different strengths and weaknesses and purposes. First, there's the conscious mind. That's where we are right now. Then there's the subconscious mind, a deeper part of mind. Finally, there's the unconscious mind, which is deeper still. The unconscious mind is our autonomic nervous system, our body wisdom. That's all the stuff that goes on in our body without our awareness. Temperature control, breathing, heart rate, digestion. It's also our physiological response to emotions. What does that mean? When we feel stressed, we don't have to tell our muscles to tense up. When we feel sad, we don't have to tell tears to come out of our eyes. It happens automatically. Our mind is where the action is. Our body is where the reaction is. Professional athletes understand this and work with both the body and mind for excellence and performance. Now, the subconscious mind is where we focus. That's our hard drive, our storehouse, our library of every experience we've ever had, whether we consciously remember it or not. That's the good, the bad, the indifferent, and ugly of our life. Because your subconscious mind stores all your experiences, it has to be highly organized, and it's organized by association. You've probably had this experience. You've been listening to the radio, and an old song comes on. And all of a sudden, you're transported back to a different time and place, remembering all the people. In actual fact, it's less like remembering and more like being there. The mind does this naturally. Our subconscious mind is also where our habits and behaviors are stored. Many of us are very quick to point out that we have some good habits and that we have some bad habits. But basically, if we look at the subconscious mind, like a computer, there aren't any good or bad habits. They're just automatic responses. So we respond to things and we place moral judgments on them, good or bad. But if you think about answering a phone, you just do it automatically, as you're taught. That's a habit. Your subconscious mind is also where your beliefs are stored. Now, to believe is not to know, but we act and think as though we did know. Beliefs we often take as facts, but they're just actually opinions. When we start out in life, it's like we're a new computer, and we have basic functioning, basic programming, and throughout our life we add on with new programs to help us function better. You know about kids. They're just like little sponges. They absorb all kinds of things. That helps them learn quickly. But they also take in crazy stuff that adults tell them, because we're big and we should know. They take in beliefs like there are monsters under the bed, or there's a man in the moon, or there's a tooth fairy. Kooky stuff that just isn't really true. We also take in other ideas that adults give us too. That we're not good enough, or smart enough, or that we can or can't do something. And it's just as kooky and just as wrong. And some of these beliefs actually stick with us far longer than we need them to. And it skews the way we look at ourselves, the way we look at others, and the way we perceive the world. We'll be talking about beliefs and shifting misperceptions a little later in your session. subconscious mind is also where our feelings are. Now, most people don't have any idea what emotions are for. They say, I feel good or I feel bad. Now, the interesting thing is that I look at feelings very much like a traffic light. They're just indicators telling us to go, to take caution, or stop doing what we're doing. So, bad feelings are just actually uncomfortable feelings. Your hypnotherapist will be telling you more about feelings and how you can start taking control of them through the use of your subconscious mind. So let's do a recap of the subconscious mind. This is your storehouse of all your experiences. This is where your habits and behaviors are stored. This is where your beliefs are, or misperceptions and erroneous beliefs. This is where your feelings or emotions are as well. It's big, it's messy, it's wonderful. It's the being and the feeling mind. Let's move on to the conscious mind. That's where you are now. This is the logical and analytical part of your mind. It's the list-making mind. It helps us solve problems, to sort out things. But unfortunately, it's limited. If you've ever made a mental grocery list, you might have been pushing that trolley around and thinking, there's one more thing. I've got one more thing on that list. What is that thing? And that's very much like your conscious mind. Scientists tell us that we can only hold about 7 to 9 bits of information at a time. So it's our temporary memory. It's our current memory. It's our working memory. The conscious mind is also our rational mind, because we like to make sense of what we do. Otherwise, we become a little nervous, shaky, frustrated, or depressed. And there are lots of mental institutions full of people who have no idea why they do what they do. But when we aim to find a reason of why we do what we do, often we get it terribly wrong. Many smokers come to see hypnotherapists to become successful non-smokers. And usually they come in with the idea that they smoke because it relaxes them. Well, smoking doesn't relax anyone because it's a stimulant. So how did they get that idea? Maybe long ago someone else said that and it made sense. So they just borrowed it. It's not original, but it makes sense to the conscious mind. And so we can repeat this over and over and over, even though it's wrong. The conscious mind is also where willpower resides. Now, most people have tried willpower on something or other, usually on the 1st of January. But it only seems to last for a short while. That's because willpower isn't actually meant for long-term change. It's temporary change. It gets us over that hump. It helps us along a bit, but it isn't for permanent change. It's more like a sprinter rather than a marathoner. It's very much like mental adrenaline. So if you've tried to make a change with willpower and it hasn't worked, that's fine, because we're going to be dealing with a different part of the mind. So let's recap the conscious mind. It's our logical, analytical mind that rationalizes what we do. It's where willpower is, for temporary change and temporary memory. So obviously we want to work with the subconscious mind, that permanent memory and permanent change part. So why can't we make changes all by ourselves? Why don't we go to the subconscious mind directly? Because of another part of the mind. It's called the critical factor. The critical factor, or critical function, is a filtering mechanism. It's very much like a bouncer to our subconscious mind, or a security guard that checks to see whether new programming we're trying to enter into our subconscious mind fits with the programming that exists. If it doesn't, it just stops it. So our conscious mind might say, yeah, I'd like to make this change. It'll make me happier and healthier. Everyone around me will feel better about this change that I've made. But then it comes to the critical factor, who sort of says, hold on a second, let me check. And if the subconscious mind has different programming, say for example, if you'd like to stop smoking, but inside you're a smoker, or if you'd like to lose weight, but inside you've got a misperception or erroneous belief that you'll always be overweight, it'll stop it and say, listen, why don't you go over to willpower and see how you do? And we already know how long that lasts. So what is hypnosis? Hypnosis is basically bypass of the critical factor. What does that mean? That means the bouncer or the security guard goes off on a break for a little while. So acceptable selective thinking can go directly into the subconscious mind, making the changes you need and want in your habits, beliefs, behaviors, and feelings. When people hear that the bouncer or security guard goes off for a little while, some people feel a little nervous, thinking that maybe they'll be vulnerable, or they'll be exposed, or out of control. This is never the case. You're always in control in hypnosis, because hypnosis is a 100% consent state. You'll be working with your hypnotherapist or hypnotist together to make those changes you need and want in your life. You also have control over your attitude. There are a number of attitudes you can take, and I'm going to strongly suggest one for you. And that one's the, I like this suggestion, I know it's going to work. When you hold on to that easygoing attitude, suggestions tend to go directly into the subconscious mind, making permanent and effective changes for you. Then there's the attitude of, I feel uncomfortable about that suggestion, or it feels morally questionable to me. You're going to be working with your hypnotherapist to help you make the changes you want and need in your life. If there's anything that's uncomfortable for you, your subconscious mind is going to reject it immediately. The third mental attitude is, this change isn't important to me. I don't care about it. When you hold on to that mental attitude, suggestions are just going to bounce off. This is why we want to make sure that you're coming for you, not because of somebody else, not because you've been forced, but that you want to make the changes in your life. Finally, there's the mental attitude, I like this. I hope it's going to work. Now, you might at first think that this would get into the subconscious mind as well. But the words hope and the words try are suggestions for failure. I'd like you to imagine you have 3 friends. One says, I'll meet you at the restaurant at noon. Another says, I hope to meet you at the restaurant at noon. And the third says, I'll try to meet you at the restaurant at noon. You probably feel most confident about the first one, right? It's the same with the mental attitude you hold for hypnosis. So hold on to that mental attitude, I like this, I know it's going to work. And working with your hypnotherapist, you'll be able to make the changes you need very quickly and very effectively. Hypnosis is a natural and safe state. They've been doing hypnosis formally for over 200 years, and no one's ever been hurt by hypnosis. The British Medical Association and American Medical Association have accepted hypnosis as a modality since the 1950s. You've probably experienced hypnosis many times before, and before you say, no, I haven't, just think about this. Have you ever daydreamed before? Well, you're creating something out of nothing. Or if you've ever been focused on a book or a computer game or a deadline, and someone's talked to you and you haven't heard them until the second or maybe third time, or until someone shook your shoulder, well, that's a form of concentrated focus, which is very much like the hypnotic state. Or if you've ever been to the movies and jumped at a scary bit, or wanted the leads to get together, or the good guy to win, you understand that you're in hypnosis. Intellectually, or using the conscious mind, you know that they're actors and actresses on a soundstage, but for a couple hours you suspend your disbelief, make it real, and really enjoy the film. Hypnotherapists work with health practitioners on issues like pain control or natural childbirth using hypnotic analgesia or anesthesia. You've probably experienced this yourself. If you've ever had a bruise or a cut you couldn't explain, maybe at some point in time your conscious mind was focusing on something else and you didn't even notice the injury that you had. That's hypnosis. In hypnosis, you can create positive or negative hallucinations. That means you can see things that aren't there and not see things that are there. You may have had this experience when you've been late and have been looking for your keys. You might have thought, oh no, I'm late, I can't find my keys. And when you look in your normal spot, they weren't there. Then you think, oh no, I'm really late, I can't find my keys. And you've looked in the second or third spot, and they haven't been there. And then all of a sudden, someone else comes along, takes what seems to be a magic finger, points, and there they appear. You were looking right at them, but couldn't see them. How does that work? Well, basically, you created a hypnotic phenomenon called a negative hallucination. You gave yourself a suggestion that you had no reason to reject. I'm late. I can't find my keys. Then repeated it or compounded it so it became so powerful that you couldn't find your keys even when you were looking at it. So isn't it nice to know that you've experienced hypnosis many, many times? You're a natural. That'll make your hypnosis session a lot easier. Hollywood, however, has a slightly different idea. If I were a Hollywood hypnotist, I would probably have bulging eyes, a matted beard, and speak with an evil hypnotist voice. This isn't the case, but many people come in with a lot of myths and misperceptions that they're carrying with them. So we're going to clear those up right now. Many people think that they're out of control in hypnosis, that the hypnotist has control over their mind. This isn't the case. It's 100% consent state. You work with the hypnotherapist to make the changes you need and want. I like to look at it like a ballroom dancing couple. If one person decides not to dance, it's not going to continue. So you're going to work with your hypnotherapist to make those changes you need and want. Another misperception that people carry with them is that hypnosis is sleep. Sleep is a state of unconsciousness. Hypnosis is a state of focused consciousness. You don't want to fall asleep during a session because you'll miss all the good stuff that happens. You'll always be awake in hypnosis. You'll always be aware in hypnosis. Your conscious mind will still be functioning. Your unconscious processes will still be going. It's just that your subconscious mind will be much more receptive. You'll always be able to hear the hypnotherapist's voice, so you don't have to worry about that. Some people believe that you have to be weak-minded to go into hypnosis, or weak-willed, or gullible. That isn't the case at all. In actual fact, there are 2 rules that you need to follow to be hypnotizable. The first is that you're of normal or higher intelligence. You're listening to this right now, so I'm sure this is the case. The second is that you're willing and able to follow instructions. Many people who have strong will, do well in business or sports, actually listen to other people, follow instructions, get directions, and give directions as well. When strong-willed people, or people who are determined to make a change, understand all the benefits that they're going to receive in making that change, they're usually the first people to experience hypnotic success. So let's do a recap. In hypnosis, you're not unconscious, you're not asleep or unaware. In actual fact, your senses are sharper rather than duller in hypnosis, so you can see, hear, taste, touch, do anything better in hypnosis. Remember, the hypnotherapist can't make you do anything. We can't make you change. We're only part of the equation. We're more like a guide, like a tour guide to a new country, where sometimes you might need a little help understanding where to go and what to do. You're the most important component of a hypnotherapy session. You and you alone are the reason for your success or failure. So remember that mental attitude we talked about before, and you'll do just fine. So remember what we've said. Hold on to that wonderful mental attitude. I like this. I know it's going to work. And hypnosis is going to be highly effective and easy for you. If this presentation has raised any questions for you, or if I haven't covered anything, just write down any questions you may have, and your hypnotherapist will be happy to help you with them. In a few minutes, your hypnotherapist will be coming to meet you, and you'll be starting your session, your journey to positive change. Congratulations, you've made a great choice. You're walking down a new path to better health and happiness, mentally, physically, and emotionally, using your power, your mind.